Good morning, Vaqueros. Today is Monday, March 10th, and it is currently 82 degrees. We're coming to you from our Edinburgh studio. I'm Celeste Cruz.
And I'm Leonardo Guajardo.
And this is
Vaquero News.
Campus news,
Events, games,
and activities.
all in one place.
this is Vaquero Radio,
The Val's student station.
Monday and Wednesday at 11 a.m.
Vaquero Radio.
where
Where your story begins.
The Festiva Mariachi competition took place March 1st. Here is Celeste Cruz with the details.
Festiva is an annual festival that gives the opportunity to middle school and high school students to participate in workshops and compete in the mariachi ensemble and vocal competitions. The competition takes place at UTRGV and promotes the importance of art and music. Member of Mariachi Aslan, Joel Sanchez, explained the purpose of the Festiva festival is to learn from other mariachis.
Just to have like a bunch of high schoolers, come over and learn from like one of the best mariachis in the United States, Mariachi Sol de Mexico. They get to do workshops with them, they get to study, they get to learn, and as far as that, they also get to compete in vocal competitions and high school, middle school group competitions as well.
He added, Festiva has grown throughout the years.
The competition has really grown so much, and for tonight's, events, the concert's already sold out, and that just goes to show the growth that this festival has had over the years.
Member of Mariachi Juvenil Aslan, Jimena Garcia, was able to work behind the scenes of Festiva for the first time and saw the festival through another perspective.
It's a bit of a culture shock because back in high school, I would always just witness Festiva in a competitor perspective. And now being behind the scenes and all that stuff, it is definitely a bit different having to help out the high schools that I used to be in. It's a bit nostalgic in a way, even though it hasn't even been that long.
She added, the future generation of mariachi students is just having fun.
Mariachi, at the end of the day, is supposed to be something fun, something you enjoy, something that you can express your heart out with. So I would say just feel it from the heart.
Grulla High School student and member of Mariachi Grulla de Plata, Lauren Garza, competed in Festiva and earned first place for the 4A high school varsity category. Garza said she spent a lot of time preparing for Festiva.
We would stay till 9. It was that's why I say I see these people more than I see my family, because it would be every 3 times a week till 9. So it was hard, but I know it's going to be worth it.
To learn more about future events from Mariachi Aslan or Juvenil Aslan, visit their Instagrams at Mariachi Aslan UTRGV and at Mariachi Juvenil Aslan. This is Celeste Cruz for Vaquero Radio. Germany held its election of its new chancellor, February 23rd. Here is Victoria Gonzalez with more.
Well, I've said that to them. I said, if you're not going to pay, we're not going to defend. I said that 7 years ago. And because of that, they paid hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, if you're not going to pay your bills, we're not going to defend you.
Leader of the center-right Christian Democratic Union Party, Friedrich Merz, is set to become the next chancellor for Germany, but remarks from President Donald Trump may have made the U.S.-German transatlantic relations uneasy. In the 2025 Bundestag election, the preliminary results showed the Christian Democratic Union Party and its Bavarian sister party, the Christian Social Union, occupied 28.6% of votes. Current Chancellor of Germany and leader of the Social Democratic Party, Olaf Scholz, fell behind with 16.41% of the vote after his three-party coalition government collapsed in early November, after he fired his finance minister over an economic dispute. The Alternative for Germany took the political stage, totaling 20.8% of votes, and is the strongest in popularity of a far-right party in Germany since World War II. The AfD is known as an extremist anti-immigrant party whose aim is to eliminate the Free Democratic Basic Order. On February 12, Trump announced direct communication with Russia to end the Ukraine-Russian war. Just 6 days later, he called Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky a comedian who had done a terrible job. In a televised program February 23rd, Merz said his main priority will be to strengthen Europe so it can achieve independence from the U.S., after the president's statements made him feel like the Trump administration is largely indifferent to the fate of Europe. But with Germany supporting Ukraine with weapons combined with Trump's comments, Merz suggested there may be a need to establish an independent European defense structure in regard to NATO. According to a March 1st article by the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, since Trump's return to the White House, Europeans are trying to demonstrate they are willing to do more in exchange for U.S. security guarantees. The article also states the U.S. is pressuring the NATO ally to cede territory and pushing Ukraine to accept economic exploitation. Assistant professor for the UTRGV Department of Political Science, Jokubas Saliga, said there are 3 points that marked a major shift from Germany's long-held pro-American position in foreign policy. According to Saliga, the first point is Merz advocating for nuclear cooperation between Germany, France, and Britain, since he believes the US can no longer be relied upon in case of a potential nuclear attack on Europe. Saliga added this suggests Germany may be ready to decouple from the US in the area of defense. Saliga's second point is Merz calling for an independent European defense alliance, citing the American indifference feeling. Germany has been part of NATO for almost 70 years, but with the NATO summit coming up in July, Merz wondered if NATO would remain unchanged or if Europe would need to act first and establish its own alternative. His last point is Merz comparing the Trump administration to President of Russia Vladimir Putin's regime, criticizing US interference in Germany's elections.
So Merz pointed to Elon Musk, a staunch ally of Donald Trump, obviously, who endorsed this far-right party alternative for Germany during the election campaign. And Friedrich Merz called this kind of influence just as drastic and just as outrageous as that of Russia. So he stressed the need for European unity under the pressure from both sides, from Moscow, but also from Washington.
According to the Danish Institute for International Studies, since NATO's 2014 Wales Summit, defense spending has increased, with several countries now meeting the 2% GDP target. However, Germany, NATO's second-largest economy, has yet to reach this goal. Tensions between the US and Germany escalated under Trump in his first term, who criticized Germany for underfunding defense. In response, the Trump administration announced in July 2020 the withdrawal of 11,900 US troops from Germany, relocating some to Poland while others moved back to the US or elsewhere in Europe. Professor for the UTRGV Department of Political Science, Nicholas Kiersey, said as long as America is willing to provide the nuclear umbrella and maintain divisions in Europe, then the Europeans never really had to pay for their own security.
Now, from Donald Trump's point of view, and from the point of view of J.D. Vance and the rest of the Trump administration, this meant that the Europeans could have not just security on the cheap, right, but the money and the funds that they would otherwise spend on security, they could divert to other things. So this is why, a lot of Europeans will go like, well, the Europeans are kind of socialists. They have more providential state, they have better welfare. And the Americans will often say, that's because we pay for their security, right? They don't have to have the high taxes.
In January, Musk made a surprise virtual appearance at an AfD campaign rally, stating the party is the best hope for Germany. But more US influence continued in German politics when Vance gave a speech during the Munich Security Conference February 14th, accusing Europe of suppressing free speech and censorship, claiming Europe was facing a threat from within and not from Russia or China. Lecturer 2 for the UTRGV Department of Political Science, Hafthor Erlingsson, said American political figure endorsements influence European politics in 2 ways.
For one, of course, it does give the AfD a lot of publicity, and certainly there will be people in Germany that will be more likely to vote for the AfD because of that. But at the same time, I think it also might kind of bring people closer to the center. And I think it did, shock many how involved people like Elon Musk became in domestic German politics. And also, I think it shocked many the speech that J.D. Vance made in Germany, kind of about European politics and about excluding the far-right parties.
Trump posted to Truth Social, much like the USA, the people of Germany got tired of the no common sense agenda, especially on energy and immigration, adding, "This is a great day for Germany," commending Merz's victory. According to Saliga, Germany's economic model was based upon exports to China and cheap imports of energy from Russia. When a German-designed trade agreement facilitating exports to China was shelved by the US, combined with Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the AfD surged politically by capitalizing on alienation and dissatisfaction.
The unavailability of cheap energy imports from Russia and also the closing export markets to China, those two shocks worked together to really raise energy costs in Germany. And that became a huge problem because it resulted in increasing inflation rates, first of all. And those increasing inflation rates worked to undermine the legitimacy of the previous government, which was led by the Social Democrats, by Olaf Scholz.
Before taking office, Merz must form a coalition with another party because he did not win enough seats in parliament to form a majority. Yet, Germany's main parties have reportedly refused to work with the AfD due to its firewall. Erlingsson said Merz is most likely to form a coalition government with the SPD.
So, of course, the CDU faces the issue that they need about 108 more seats in the Bundestag to be able to form a majority. So they'll have to try to work with the Social Democrats or the Green Party to do so, and some other parties. They've already come out and stated they would not form a government with the AfD.
Saliga agreed the new chancellor will form a coalition with the SPD, even though Merz spent the past 2 months criticizing the SPD for stagnating the economy and uncontrolled migration. He added the CDU-CSU will focus on a pro-business economic agenda involving cutting taxes and slashing welfare and regulation. The SPD will seek to hold firm on social spending, including their plan to secure a minimum pension level.
Another potential bone for contention is migration. So Merz tried to really strong-arm the previous government into tightening border checks and restricting asylum in Germany by passing a motion together with this far-right AfD party. And this caused a lot of uproar in Germany. This was sort of something that went against that firewall.
According to Saliga, the SPD cooperated with the AfD to put forward more strict ideas about migration. He added both parties may also clash over how to fund defense spending and infrastructure needs because they have to comply with the debt brake.
So in the German constitution, you can find this sort of a debt brake, which basically limits government borrowing. The Social Democrats say that they want to get rid of this debt brake in the constitution, and they're quite fine with the reform of constitution. The Christian Democrats, Merz's own party, they're quite ambivalent, and they are sort of open to discussions on the debt brake.
However, Saliga said changing the constitution in Germany requires a 2/3 majority in parliament, and the coalition lacks that majority.
So what is clear, I think, is that this will make it very, very hard to secure enough votes in the next parliament for the reform on Germany's debt brake. However, it seems pretty much guaranteed that the two parties will form this new coalition government, the Christian Democrats and the Social Democrats, and they will have to compromise inevitably. But compromising in this instance, according to them, is probably much better than allowing the far-right AfD party to come into government.
Merz said he hopes to form a coalition government by April 20th. This is Victoria Gonzalez for Vaquero Radio.
People may not know about a story that covers Black history in the Valley. Here's Celeste Cruz with the story.
To go to a place that they felt they could be free, and freedom was very important to them.
Ramiro Ramirez is the descendant of an interracial marriage between Nathaniel Jackson and Matilda Hicks that took place in the 1850s during the American Civil War. This couple was able to flee from Alabama with some slaves who were also seeking freedom. Ramirez is the great-great-grandson of the interracial marriage and explained what early life was like for his ancestors.
She was a slave, and she grew up in Alabama as a slave. My great-great-great-grandfather was a plantation owner, and he had a son by the name of Nathaniel Jackson. Nathaniel Jackson grew up as a little boy playing around with Matilda Hicks, who was again a slave. And they grew to care for each other and eventually fall in love and decided that they were going to be together and get married.
Ramirez gave details about the plan Hicks and Jackson had to flee and the reasons behind their escape.
And they decided to get away from that for obvious reasons of discrimination, racism, and just being chained up and locked up. And so they ran away. It was a plan that they had where they brought another 11 families with them, slaves, and they brought another group of people with them. And they came in wagon trains, covered wagons, and they came over. They decided to come south.
The original plan was to go to Mexico since it was a slave-free country. However, when they arrived to their destination, they decided to not stay in Mexico for two reasons. The first was because they didn't know Spanish, and the second was because Mexico had a strong Catholic denomination. According to Ramirez, since Hicks and Jackson were Protestants, they built the first Protestant church in South Texas. Jackson purchased a 5,500-acre ranch and was able to lend people who needed property some of the land. He gave the slaves the choice to go to Mexico and help them cross the border, but if they stayed, he would donate them some land. The Jackson Ranch and Cemetery is located in San Juan, a historical site that many people may not know about. This is Celeste Cruz for Vaquero Radio.
And McLean goes up and throws down a monster dunk. That fires up the UTRGV Fieldhouse.
And now time for Vaquero Sports.
The UTRGV women's tennis team defeated McNeese State University in a thrilling back-and-forth match. Leonardo Guajardo has the details.
RGV, go! RGV, go! RGV, RGV,
In the Vaqueros' second conference game, March 3rd, the UTRGV women's tennis team conquered the court against McNeese State University. The Vaqueros took off with a strong start, dominating their doubles matches to secure the first point against the opposing team. On court 1, freshman Maria Bacatin and sophomore Rhea Makisar won their match against their McNeese counterparts with a final score of 6-4. The duo of senior Crystal Duel and sophomore Yasa Vasquez dominated on court 2, ending their match 6-2. With a 1-point lead, the Vaqueros' confidence increased as they transitioned over to singles matches. On court 3, Duel continued to dominate, defeating McNeese sophomore Anna Howig 6-2 in the first set and 6-0 in the second. This placed the Vaqueros up by 2 points. On court 6, Bakhtin swept McNeese freshman Tafi Gorab 6-0 in the first set and finished strong with a 6-2 victory in the second, securing the team a third point over McNeese. On court 4, UTRGV sophomore Madeline Jove fought a difficult first set against McNeese senior Ariane Mali-Osange, ending with a final score of 7-5 in favor of the Vaqueros. In the second set, Jove picked up momentum and secured a 6-2 victory, earning the team its fourth and final points. Ultimately, the Vaqueros triumphed over McNeese with a final overall score of 4-3. Head coach Wes Knott expressed his enthusiasm and highlighted the game as a much-needed confidence booster.
It was a great win for us. I thought we needed a win like this for the season. We haven't had a big win, so this was a huge confidence booster. And I really believe this is a top 4 team in the conference, and to knock them off was just magnificent today.
He praised standout player Duel for her impressive performance.
Crystal, our senior, did a great job. She got on top early and then she finished strong. I think once you get some momentum and close it out, that's huge for the rest of the team because it really fires everyone up. There's hope at the end of the tunnel. Let's keep going.
Duel shared her hopes for the team and emphasized the importance of applying maximum effort to every game.
I hope that everyone enjoys playing and that we all have fun as a team together. Obviously, I hope we all win the conference. If we just put our maximum effort in the court, then good results are going to happen.
As of Friday, the Vaqueros held a 4-3 overall record and were 2-0 in conference play. The UTRGV women's tennis team is set to hit the road to play against Stephen F. Austin University at 10 a.m. Monday in Nacogdoches, Texas. This is Leonardo Guajardo for Vaquero Radio.
New drop straight back. There's a crossing route. McCaffrey. Touchdown. That's big time.
Good morning, Vaqueros. Here's the sports schedule for this week. UTRGV's athletic teams will have a packed schedule on Monday. Starting off, the women's tennis team returns to the court to take on Stephen F. Austin at 10 a.m. in Nacogdoches, Texas. The men's tennis team will serve up a match against the University of California, Riverside at 11 a.m. in Riverside, California. The women's golf team is set to tee off at the Riverbend Intercollegiate in Sugar Land, Texas. The men's golf team will compete in the South Texas Match Play Tournament in the McAllen Country Club. Later that day, the women's basketball team will take on Nicholls State University at 1:30 p.m. in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Don't forget to bring your student ID to all UTRGV games for free admission and support our student athletes by showing up. This is Leonardo Guajardo for Vaquero Radio.
And now for this week's events calendar.
What's up, Vaqueros? Let's check out all the fun events going on this week. Today there will be a fundraising event for the Pre-Dental Society at the Library Barbecue area from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tomorrow at the Brownsville campus from noon to 2 p.m. located near the Brownsville Music, Science, and Learning Center, UTRGV's Spring Break Luau will take place. Then on Thursday, Edinburgh will have their Spring Break Luau at the Quad from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And to wrap up the week, the Indian Cultural Association is hosting Holi, the Festival of Colors, at the Chapel Lawn Friday from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. That is the event calendar for this week, Vaqueros. Don't forget to bring your student ID to all UTRGV events. This is Ariana Galladro for Vaquero Radio.
And now, for this week's campus weather report.
Good morning, Vaqueros. Here's the weather forecast for this week. We're starting the week with sunny skies and a high of 82, cooling down to 52 in the evening. Temperatures rise tomorrow, reaching 95 with a low of 62, and Wednesday brings similar conditions. On Thursday, expect a high of 94 and a low of 65, followed by even warmer weather on Friday, peaking at 97. Please dress accordingly for these weather conditions. This is Joseph Zambrano for Vaquero Radio.
That is the newscast for this week.
Remember to read our news articles every week on our website, utrgvradio.com.
Tune in to Vaquero Radio through our website or download the Radio Garden app to listen wherever you are and enjoy the best DJ shows around campus. Remember to check out our YouTube channel for the latest news from UTRGV and the Valley.
Our weekly newscast will also broadcast at 11 a.m. every Wednesday.
Join us next week, same time, same place.
Only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley student station.
Thanks for tuning in, Vaqueros. Be sure to saddle up at 11 a.m. every Monday and Wednesday for another newscast.
And as always,
V's up!